but we lose another one. Okay,
Yeah.
another one's gone. Another one bites the dust. It's perfect because they're in the sand. And bites, the. Okay. Anyway.
She's gonna walk us through the entire joke. All right, welcome back to the show. I'm Jon.
I'm Brittney.
And this is
Random Rewind.
Oh my goodness, I'm done laughing.
We started laughing before we even started going.
Yeah, we really did. It was really good. Okay, anyway, so if you guys did see the picture of Des, just put like the hashtag twins in the comments section.
Listen.
Oh my God, please.
Before you two sidetrack.
Yes.
We are talking about a movie from 1999.
Yes.
One of my favorite all-time movies. And again, 1999 is just the year of movies.
This show should be called 1999.
I know. We could do a whole year of just 1999.
Honestly speaking, 1999 had to do with probably like a good solid dozen really good freaking films.
I agree. I didn't even know this movie came out in 1999 until I was rewatching it now, and I was like,
knew it was
what
a
the heck?
general era, but I didn't realize it was 1999.
It was 1999.
And so this film was called 1999. No, I'm just kidding.
So I was 10 years old when The Mummy. You guys watched The Mummy? I know you did because I was looking up stuff about it, and this movie has everybody loves it just as much as I do,
Yes.
and I love that. Like it's one of those things where it's like everyone can kind of agree on it because it was such a breath of fresh air when it came out, and it was such a good adventure, but they made fun of themselves, and like it's such a good movie.
So they did stick to the original very, very well on this, right? So they
Wait, time out. There's an original Mummy?
Holy moly, you did not know this.
I had no idea.
I did not either.
I thought Brendan Fraser was
The
first.
Mummy. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a remake.
When was the original Mummy?
1932.
What?
No.
Okay, so it's like a
Dead
silent
serious.
film.
No,
almost.
it's a full-blown film. And
1932?
1932.
They had audio in the 30s?
They did.
Yes, we
They
had
did.
Gone with the Wind
Yeah.
and Wizard of Oz
Okay.
at that time.
Yes,
That's right.
So it wasn't nearly as fun as this.
Yeah. No,
obviously.
I don't think it
There's
could be.
a lot less going on as far as effects, obviously.
I'm sure their special
So,
effects were not on key.
Not on, but the story itself
It's kind of the same.
played pretty almost identical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this story
and
is
I have seen the original.
is a known story. I haven't seen the original, but I have seen Jungle Cruise, and it's the same story. But Mummy came first, and Mummy did it right, and Mummy did it the best.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like when there's an adventurer, and then they have to find a
well,
person to take them, and they're gonna stop.
Indiana Jones did it first, and they did a better job. But nonetheless, this is an
But
excellent.
I'm saying, I guess,
this is an
is there
excellent
love
film.
in Indiana Jones?
There is.
There's
Yeah.
romance.
There's a romantic person of interest.
Ooh.
Right. Indiana Jones. So yes, there is. But this story itself is a standalone, in the sense that it's a remake of a really good
But they
screenwrite.
they don't play on it like, hey, again, since I had no idea it was a remake, I thought this was just.
Well, most people think of it as being the original because a lot of people don't know about the original.
Yeah,
so
we weren't hanging out in the 30s.
And that's fine though, because a lot of people don't really recognize a lot of the films back in the day because they don't really watch that.
Well,
stuff.
and
I know
when
a
it
lot of
come up,
people that
when would somebody be like, hey, let's watch The Mummy from 1937? You're like,
1932. Yeah, it was right after I watched this. I realized that it was a remake.
that it was a remake. So
after
then
the
you had to
fact. I'm
watch.
like, well,
was
now
it
I gotta-
hard?
We gotta watch it. What do you
Was
mean?
it hard to watch the one from the 30s?
No, because I liked stuff like the Munsters and stuff like that. Like,
Okay.
like stuff that's really old black and white. I loved old black and white stuff back then.
Yeah. So it worked out.
Less now.
It's harder to watch now.
I've kind of pushed away from black and white films altogether.
Well, this Mummy stars the one and only Brendan Fraser, who
Yes.
is just the coolest dude.
I've always liked Brendan Fraser.
You can't not like Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser as an actor has always been a fun character. Honestly speaking, he's always had that charisma on screen. He's always been that very, very, very entertaining character.
An entertaining
on screen.
presence and like a calming presence, right? So he plays the character Rick O'Connell. He's like the #1 adventure dude,
Yeah.
which we get that trope a lot. But Brendan Fraser, how he does it, it's like they want him to come off as like a jerk or whatever. How like, oh, he's jerky, blah blah blah. And then, you see like the softer side, but there's like Goofy there with it. Like, I don't know. I trust him.
Right. Because he's supposed to be the not so much. I don't even know if he's supposed to be a jerk. He's supposed to be just this
like
scoundrel,
smug,
like a scoundrel. That's
treasure
kinda,
hunter guy.
Yeah, exactly. So,
But like adventurer, treasure,
yeah.
stealer, I guess, because he
Theft.
was an American.
Yeah.
But the British were stealing artifacts from Egypt when this was in the 1920s, which I also love. Like the time frame of just being in the 1920s in their outfit. I tried to kind of like dress that way. I have like my Rick O'Connell jacket.
Yes.
And then my Rachel Weisz, who plays Evelyn.
Yes.
She's always in the entire time she's lost in Egypt. She is in the most black lacy
always
outfits.
Yes.
So I have my black lacy top for my
Okay.
Evie, and I have my brown jacket for my Rick O'Connell.
Okay, fair enough.
And I'm two characters embraced into one.
Fair enough.
Two of my favorite.
Fantastic.
Almost every character in this is my favorite.
Yeah. Do you know why the pyramids are still in Egypt?
Why?
This is a stupid joke. You have to,
Oh, it's a joke.
It's a joke.
I was like ready for knowledge.
Why the pyramids are still in Egypt?
Why?
Because they didn't fit in the British Museum. Because
they stole all the artifacts. I get it. Yeah. No, that's what I mean. They were stealing.
Yeah, if they could have taken them, they would have.
They would have, exactly.
100.
Exactly.
Anything they could take, they took.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so this film is, I don't know how else to put it other than just a shitload of fun.
I know how else to put it.
How else?
Sexual awakening. And and I am not the only one.
Explain.
And I'm not the only one because
Explain.
this is why I love TikTok. I think this is why the government wants it banned, because it brings people together. Because when I'm looking up research for this episode, and I'm searching the mummy, so many other people had the same experience that I did.
Okay.
In the sense of like when we first watched this, you're like, oh yeah, Brendan Fraser, like he's cute, and then you're like, oh yeah, Rachel Weisz, like she's also really gorgeous, and you just kind of like go back and forth.
Sure.
And literally it says like in the search on TikTok, it'll be like The Mummy by Awakening, because it is such a thing. And don't even get me started on the second one, but the first one, it's like, and as a kid, or I was around, I don't know, I was like 10 when this came out, and this was one of those movies where like, yeah, it's, you know what I mean? Like there's that little extra oomph. But that's the fun thing, is that like I'm not the only one. Video after video after video after video after video of other people saying the exact same thing, which makes you feel, you know what I mean? Like you guys know. The people that know, they know. But let's start from the top.
Go for it.
From the tippy top.
Opening scene.
We are in we're way back in the day. We're 3,000 years.
3,000 years ago. 3,000 years from
1920.
Yeah, 3,200 years ago.
Yeah, right.
This is 1927, right? 1925 area, right?
Yeah, so 3,000 years before that.
Right. So what's really cool about that opening scene, which a lot of people don't realize, is how much practical they made for this film compared to CGI. They only use CGI in this film where they most necessarily needed to.
And I think you can tell the pieces where they do, because it wasn't quite up to par. I feel like watching it now.
In some cases.
You can
even
tell.
Watching it now, even then, I look at it, because they added this HDR filter over everything, making everything look a little glossy. That opening scene looks extremely CGI, and not a lick of it is.
I didn't think it was.
I'm saying like all the structures,
like the title screen and stuff. When it kind of cuts away and they do that like blocky little, those. You're like, okay, it's kind of old school.
Yeah. But even like the old Egypt that they portrayed.
I guess the only thing in old Egypt would be the things coming from the ground, right? That would have been the CGI part of it when he's trying to resurrect his love.
Yeah. All that stuff is
Pharaoh's
gonna be
wife.
CGI, but there are bits and pieces of that are practical too.
It looks incredible.
That entire scene of old Egypt is all miniature,
and it looks insane. How is it? Oh, miniature from the outside, and then when in is the set. Right, they show
when you
Egypt.
show people in there, they can superimpose people walking around Egypt, right?
Yeah.
But that whole panning through the entire city
is a small
going around. It's just it's a big small set. It's probably the size of this room.
But we'd lay down on it. Like it would fit on this table.
I mean, buildings would, yes. Yeah. But it's like literally the size of this. It's a massive miniature
little
set.
Town.
Like the buildings are like this tall, but they're not.
But they're just kind of zooming through.
Right. So when they're panning across and they're showing people constructing the Sphinx and all that other stuff, and freaking Brittney taking out her microphone.
I know. And I saw like a hair, and I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
There's
Anyhow,
like hair stuck to it. Is it mine?
but there's a lot of freaking practical in this film that was really impressive. Imhotep, yeah, exactly.
Because he's hooking up with the pharaoh's wife, future wife.
Yes, yeah.
Which is a big
He
no-no.
is the back in the history of Rasputin, right? So he's
the priest. So
Yeah.
this is like scandal. This
Yeah.
is some fun scandal back in the 3000 days.
Yeah, exactly. So they portray Imhotep as somebody totally different than he used to be back in history, because Imhotep is also a real individual, a real human from history.
But that's right. We should probably say that right now. This is not at all
historically
historically
so
accurate.
it does
The
have
names,
some
right?
historical accuracies, but not a lot. It's
But
not a
they're-
historically
like who
accurate film.
Imhotep
And who
was-
keeps on-
It was FedEx. Shout out FedEx.
Not a sponsor,
Thanks,
but
FedEx, for
hopefully
interrupting.
Not
One day.
sponsored.
Yeah.
Not sponsored by FedEx.
Not sponsored by FedEx.
one day.
One day.
Okay, so like we were saying before, we were rudely interrupted by FedEx.
By FedEx. Thanks, FedEx.
It's the names are historical, but the events
Yeah, so
obviously did not take place.
Imhotep was one of the architects for the pyramids and the Sphinx. and
Okay,
stuff.
but he
he's
wasn't
real
a
individual.
priest in
was
real
not
life.
a priest in real life, and
Okay.
we don't know for certain, but he did not have himself buried to come back as a god.
Or did he have an affair with the pharaoh's wife?
And we don't know if he had an affair with the pharaoh's wife, but he was an architect back in them days.
Those are damn days.
Damn days.
I love Egypt, the
Yeah.
culture. I loved it when I was a kid too. And when this came out, it was probably a big reason
Yeah,
why
I
I thought
was-
it was so cool.
I was like 2 years old when we visited the pyramids and the Sphinx.
Oh, you
and
got to
stuff.
go to Egypt?
I have a picture of me in a fucking stroller in front of the
In front of the
pyramids.
pyramid?
Yeah, it's just
So you were there.
it's the stupidest freaking photo too, right? It wasn't a picture like me and my mom.
Yeah.
They just took the stroller and they parked it in front of the freaking pyramids.
I want to see
It's
this.
so
I want to
dumb.
see the
I'll have to show you.
I want to see the
It is
pyramid
this-
picture.
I'm like, but why? Why? Both of you guys were there, right? Yeah, did one of you need to hold the
No, we
tripod?
just wanted you in the picture. Just you with your stroller.
So dumb.
Here's John at the pyramids, 2 years old, all by himself.
It was so dumb.
They just wanted that. Maybe it was a size comparison. Like, you know what I mean?
We know they're big. We don't need to put a 2-year-old baby for a size comparison.
Yeah, you do. Because guess what? In whatever, what are we, 40 years later, we need the size comparison of when he was 2 to his size with the pyramids.
Oh,
That's why they did it. Because I'm right.
That's fucking funny. That's
Tears of reason.
Yes, that's what they are.
The
Brendan.
tears of reason.
You nailed it. Nail 100%.
Ask your parents. Your mom just called. You should have answered. You should have asked her.
You know, I just imagine that John gets so sad when we leave.
That's so sad.
Like, it's so quiet.
My day becomes a little humdrum.
No, I was
after
gonna
you
say
guys
he
went
takes
out.
a big breath, like
I know. He's like,
a
"God."
relief breath. Anyway, Imhotep is
Imhotep.
hooking up with the pharaoh's fiance, and
Yes.
he touches her. She's all painted. Like, come on, you guys. Like, obviously, you're gonna get caught.
Yeah.
That's how she gets caught, and so she kills herself. She sacrificed herself because she loves him and she wants to be with him.
She had a weird name. Naman.
Aksunanaman.
Yeah,
She's also real. She's a real historian.
Hamunaptra.
Hamunaptra.
So we're gonna go with
Okay, wait.
Hamunaptra.
Hamunaptra. I know how to say it. I just said it right. Now I can't do it.
Hamunaptra.
You messed me up.
Hamunaptra.
Anyway, she stabs herself. She said,
Asakusa.
she says, I'm out of here. My love, Imhotep, is gonna bring me back because he's gonna not resignate. What's that word?
Resurrect.
Yes, Des is saving
I
today.
like resonate better.
I know.
Resurrect her back. So he gets
Yes.
away. He gets away while the pharaoh is like, oh my god, I can't believe this happened.
Yep.
He sneaks away.
And he
Pharaoh's
steals
dead.
her. And he steals her
Oh
body.
yeah, he is dead.
They
But
kill
the
the
guards,
pharaoh. Dead.
but the guards come in and they're like, "Hey, whoa!" And then she distracts the guards by stabbing herself in the gut. He leaves.
Just for like, so you guys can follow the story along. They literally come in and they go, "Hey, whoa."
I honestly, Des knows this because we were together at this part. I made a comment on it, and I'm like, the pharaoh's dead on the ground.
Yeah.
And I get he's behind a curtain or whatever, but it's like you wouldn't scatter instantly to like find out who killed your pharaoh. You know what I mean? I feel like the bodyguards are kind of like not doing their job.
Dumb.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Like, it just, he's dead on the floor and she's right there. So maybe they assumed she did it.
My question is,
You know what I mean?
is
Yeah.
why did the bodyguards, let's just make it real, okay? In places of power, if the pharaoh's dead, the bodyguards are going to go and follow whoever else is the next in power.
That's what I was.
So why did she even kill herself? Because technically, she would have been the one in power now.
No.
That's the other
They
part
would've
that
killed
actually
her.
throws me for a loop. I don't think they would have killed her. How did they assume that she's the one that did it? They didn't assume it was the dude, right?
Did they see the dude? Is the question. Did they see Imhotep? Because
No,
that's my
he
question.
got out.
He got out,
before.
right?
Yeah.
He bailed, but they knew it was him.
How
He
did they
ran
know
out
it was him?
Because there were the only two in the room.
But they never saw him in the room.
Right.
Right?
But then she kills
So
herself.
now I get it. Now it's all coming together. I'm answering my own questions. He wasn't seen. They see her. They see him on the ground dead.
But they're
going to assume that she did it.
But they also know that he was involved. Otherwise, they wouldn't went after him later on.
Yeah, but they only know that because we only know that they knew that because of what happened in the second one. Because have you seen the second one?
I've never even seen the second
Okay,
one.
well, I
No,
won't say
we don't care
anything,
about
but they do find out it's him. But I'm saying in the very first moment when they see the pharaoh dead on the ground, that's probably why they didn't scatter to find anybody else, because they assumed it was Axunima. You know, they thought it was her. So they maybe Oxalotl. Gorgeous, by the way. That you're gonna lots of really pretty people in this movie. Yeah. So she's dead. He's gone. He takes her and he takes the book, and he's gonna resurrect her.
Does she have any lines in this film?
I don't think she
speaks once.
I think
I don't think she speaks once.
Yes, she says, "My body is no longer his temple."
That's right.
When she takes herself out.
So
she does.
She's got a one-liner.
And I think there's a little here or there because she comes. Well, we can't skip.
Yeah, but she doesn't speak. Go ahead.
So now the guards find him. They ruin him. They curse him forever, and they mummified everyone involved alive, which already sucks. But
they killed everybody else. They only mummified him alive.
Nope, they mummified all of them
the
alive.
priests.
You can see him. You can see him moving. So when they're
they threw the scarabs in with him.
Yes. So that's right. Yes. So the other priest didn't get the worst one. They just got mummified alive, which sounds horrible. No one wants to do that. So then they get to Imhotep and they're like, "Oh, we're doing the worst one," which was like the tongue thing, and then they put the crazy bugs in there, and like he was still alive, and not a fun time. And then they bury him, and then it's fine. But there's these guards, right? So the pharaoh's bodyguards from 3,000 years ago are still continuing to guard his crypt to make sure that
he's never resurrected, because the curse that they put on him it also makes him a god if he were to come back alive.
Yeah, which is weird. Again, like what's with these curses having crazy loopholes? Like,
I know.
Hey, you're cursed and damned for life, but if you do come back, you could be a god.
People who wrote curses back in the day are the same people that write our politics these days.
Yeah. But you know what it is? I think it's just the fact of the universe that every action has an equal but opposite reaction.
Yeah.
So we can only have him being the worst if somehow he does come back and then he gets godlike power, right? There has to be a balanced dynamic, I guess, when it comes to curses.
I guess.
Are you guys curse people? Let us know how it works, because why
cursed?
Wouldn't you just
kidding.
Are you cursed?
Are you cursed?
No, are you cursed?
I'm cursed.
Why not just curse him for all eternity and like that's the end? Why be like, well, if someone reads from this book, sorry, I skipped ahead, then he gets powers. But anyway, so we cut right away to Brendan Fraser.
The science fiction bugs, right, that eat him alive.
What are they called?
The scarabs? Scarabs don't eat people, but yeah.
Man, they do in this movie.
They do in this movie
they,
pretty badly.
They haunt you.
Pretty bad.
So Brendan Fraser's hanging out with a bunch of people. It's now 1920 something.
Sure. And
they found it. The city that Imhotep is buried in is lost.
How do they find it?
They never tell us that. They say that he went.
No,
they were out on a mission, and then his crew went out separately to find it.
No, so originally how Brendan Fraser runs across it is there was a war between the French and the British, and the war was happening right on these hallowed grounds or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then this is our first sight of the commander or whoever runs off. But then we get that chicken shit Benny runs off.
Benny.
He runs off like a little bitch, right? And then
the little bitch Benny.
And then they get overrun, right? And then it was the Egyptians and the British, right? Or Egyptians and the French or whatever it was.
The war people? I don't know who was fighting them.
Brendan Fraser takes off, or Rick O'Connell takes off, and he gets cornered because Benny also traps him from going into this.
Benny doesn't let him in. Benny is
so
a
Benny
jerk. Benny finds a place to hide.
He plays that weasel really,
he's such
really
a weasel.
well.
He's
a little,
randomly
he's
weasel person.
easily hated in this film.
That's a great word for it.
He
Benny
is
the weasel.
Benny the weasel.
It's
yeah.
what he,
Swiper, no swiping.
Swiper, no swiping, dude. Like, and he will steal, and he will eat you. He's like, but he's cowardly too.
He's a cowardly little bitch.
Yes,
he really is.
And he doesn't really stand for anything but himself, but not in a fun sense. More of like, screw you, I get it, you don't.
It's about me and nobody else. And
yeah. So
what can I get the comeuppance in?
Little bitch Benny runs away.
Little bitch Benny. That's what we're gonna call him. Little bitch Benny is gonna be his nickname from here on out. Anyway, so then they cut to him being in behind bars.
No,
What?
you're forgetting a really important part, which to me, I guess the movie when it happened at this part did not happen. But the other super hot guy who's protecting the ones that the Pharaoh's bodyguards, right?
Oh, our death bay, yeah. Odin.
So Brendan
Fraser,
Fraser's literally walking away from the scene. He survived.
He's a good-looking man too.
I know.
Yeah, to this day, he's a good-looking man.
It's back and forth. You're like switching sides because you just don't know what side to be on.
Yeah.
Between those four,
like I wish I had his hair. I'm looking at it right now. Like, God damn, man.
So Brendan Fraser doesn't die in this. He's outnumbered. He should have been. Anyway, he doesn't, and then he wanders off, right? And one of the dudes, the commander, the ones that are protecting the Imhotep, they go, "Should we kill him?" And then hot dude, what's his name? Oded is like, no, the desert will kill him. And it's like, no, dude, you were there to protect that tomb and that hidden city that he knows where it is. You shoot him now.
Yeah, exactly. He's the only tie to the villain. I mean,
and guess what? You didn't.
Him and one other guy, which
and
they
Benny.
didn't catch. They didn't catch.
They
Benny.
didn't, but they should have. They should have. They didn't do a very good job.
They weren't very.
3,000 years you're guarding this place, and you go, the desert's gonna get him.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on
now.
Right there, bop, done.
Yeah.
You did your job. No one's gonna find the lost city because you protected it. Yeah, then we don't have a movie. Then there's no room for sexual awakenings. Okay, so I guess we have to we have to have the movie.
Yeah.
But if he just right there didn't do the supervillain thing and be like, nah, let the hero go, we'll be fine, and just instantly bop,
yeah,
you did your job. But they didn't, and guess what? Now he's behind bars because I don't know why did he was gonna get hung for something.
For theft.
Yeah, he's been stealing because then we're introduced to another fun character. Evie's brother.
Yeah.
Who
Jonathan.
Which is funny because I love Jonathan. I love a side character who F's up all the time.
You have to have that side character.
You have to.
Because they have it in like National Treasure. You have one in Indiana Jones. You have one in I mean, every kind of adventure film, you have to have that sidekick character.
That's the role.
Because he's the comedic relief.
I was born to play that role.
But even though freaking Evelyn, played by Rachel Weisz, got comedy chops of her own.
Yeah.
She's very good at being witty and quick and everything else.
So
she's really good at, everything, honestly speaking. But he's the comedic relief.
He's the comedic relief, and we need him. And that's what I do love about this too, is there's a lot of comedy in this because they're so self-aware.
Yeah.
And I think that makes it more fun, ultimately, you know?
I mean, it's very, we talked about this before. It falls back to the Johnny Depp freaking Pirates of the Caribbean days.
Yeah, but with that kind of character, they know what they're doing. This kind of Jonathan, I think he has no idea what's going on.
You think it's just slapstick on
accident? Jonathan is pretty slapstick. I think on purpose, but there's not that like genius behind it.
Oh no! It's just
I don't
mean
to shit on Jonathan.
No, it's just the writing. It's the writing that made him funny.
It's a fun character though. But he's a thief, and he stole the key from Brendan Fraser, Rick O'Connell.
Yes.
And he gives it to his sister because she's a librarian.
Yeah.
And man, in the beginning,
she knocks over the
that
whole
library
library
scene. Dude, like if that happened in real life, like
I'm sure it's happened in real life. I'm sure it's happened in real life.
But books everywhere.
But it blows me away that we have these like. I know they make it for comedic relief and it's funny, but for the fact these giant bookshelves are bolted to the ground.
I said the same exact thing. I'm like, you're telling me these big ass bookshelves, they're not nailed to the ground.
Right.
Well, and especially
they're like, that's like a death trap just waiting to happen.
And they're in Egypt, and Egyptians can build stuff. Like they have structures.
So years ago when I was working at a prop shop, right? Me and my other manager at the prop shop went out to go look for cabling for this specific spacesuit that we're looking for, right?
Uh-huh.
And we ended up going to this warehouse type place that sold electronics, but it was like this massive warehouse, really, really narrow, but the length of like a Costco. So super
big.
long,
Yeah,
but super narrow. And it was really awkward and weird. And they're like, oh, you can look in the back. And there's just shelves of cables in the back. And you walk in the back, and it looks like something out of the Matrix. There's cables everywhere. Like on the ground, up the walls. And they had these really tall bookcases, but they're not full of books. They're full of cables.
Just cables?
I mean, metal and copper and freaking brass and plastic.
Everything.
But just heaped on these shelves that are 20, 30 feet tall. And you're looking at it like, if I walk in between these two, am I going to get buried alive?
Am I going to die?
Yes.
Via cables?
It's literally what it felt like.
How did John die? Well, the cables fell on him,
He
you
got buried by
know?
cables. Anyway, so that just reminded me.
Those bookshelves with cables, they'll get you.
Yeah, so
Luckily, she was okay.
She was okay.
Her boss was pissed.
her boss was mad.
And
yeah,
then
her
you get
boss,
mad, too, because...
Eric Avari, played by Dr. Terrence Bay. He's a freaking excellent actor.
He's
I mean,
in
this
so
whole
much stuff.
cast is really good.
The cast is so stacked.
On this. Yeah,
Cadbury's
really
in here,
good.
too. I know his name's not Cadbury, but I will forever call him Cadbury because he's in Richie Rich.
Yeah.
And what is his real name? Because I feel bad.
Dr.
Alan
Chamberlain.
Maybe,
That's him
yeah.
right there.
So
yeah.
I
right
just
here.
call him...
That's an old photo of him.
I just call him Cadbury because
Cadbury.
that's what he is in Richie Rich. And
Sure.
I love Richie Rich.
Yeah.
But stacked cast, like completely stacked. So, okay, so
great.
Brendan
Anyway.
Fraser, Rick O'Connell is behind bars and he's about to die.
Yes.
He's going to get hung. But sorry, I'm so skipping ahead. There's so much to this. So the brother,
Yes.
Jonathan, who is he also half Egyptian? Because we know that Evie's half Egyptian.
Then he has to be.
So
yes.
he also is. He doesn't have the, anyways.
The features, right.
So he steals the thing from Rick O'Connell and it's the key and he opens it and there's a map on the inside, right?
Yeah.
And so the dude who owns the museum accidentally burns a piece of this map.
Accidentally.
Exactly. In
Yeah.
air
You're
quotes.
talking about Eric Avari,
So
her boss.
the boss, and
Yeah.
he's like,
He
"Whoa,
burns-
look
oh
at this,"
no!
and
Oh,
then
sorry.
accidentally burns it in the fire.
Oops. Because he thinks it's futile to go after this.
Well, Jonathan
thing,
is like,
right?
"Oh, you burnt the Lost City part," and we're like, "Okay, yeah, well."
That didn't look obvious.
Yeah, it wasn't obvious.
That wasn't obvious at all.
But we see it. So then they're like, okay, who did you steal this from? Where did this come from? Does this guy know how to find this lost city? So Brendan Fraser looks like George of the Jungle Days.
Yes, he
and
does.
he's behind bars and he's
Did
about.
you like that film?
I don't know if it's
George of the Jungle was actually really funny.
Did you think so? I
Yeah.
thought it was kind of a little over the top.
I didn't.
Yeah, but I think that's what made that movie funny.
The funniest thing
fair
about
enough.
But we digress on this
Yeah.
one.
No, the funniest thing about George in the Jungle is that when it came out, my friend's family, like my best friend's family, started calling me George for some reason, and they will still continue to call me George to this day.
But why?
I don't remember if I swung and hit something or like I
That's
did
just
something
funny.
George in the Jungle like.
That's just.
I think it was the swing set. I think I kind of like maybe ran into the pole.
So every time Brittany walks in here, it's gonna be, "Hey, George."
Yeah, so they called me George my entire. They still would. So, but because of George of the Jungle, I don't remember them. I don't remember loving the movie. Nothing like I loved this movie. So
Right.
it didn't leave an impression on me.
Obviously.
So Brendan Fraser is about to get hung, and he kisses Evie.
Yes.
And it's gross because you think like, dude, this dude's been in jail in Egypt in the 1920s and like he's probably not clean. He looks great in the movie, but in real life, you'd be like, you don't need to be kissing me, Mr. Prisoner, dude.
Yeah.
But he knows where the lost city is.
Yeah.
So now.
Well, what's the first thing that he does when he sees Jonathan?
Oh, he punches Jonathan in the face.
Square in the nose.
He's
man.
like, bah!
Yeah.
Get out of here, dude. And he's like, sorry, you stole that from me.
That scene is funny to me because at one point he's wearing chains.
Oh, is there? And then he's not.
And then when they put his hands behind his back,
he's not anymore.
wearing chains anymore.
Like they took him off. Like they knew.
They're just not there.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
And see, I usually do catch
Anyway,
those things.
sorry.
So he's about to get hung. And he does. Oh, so Evie's talking to the warden, being like, hey, this dude knows where the lost city is. Bargaining, right? I'll give you $500. I'll give you whatever.
Yeah, and then she says she'll split it with him, right? Basically.
Yeah, well, he wants 50%. And
Right,
then
right.
I think they end up on 25%.
Yeah.
But he's hanging at this point, and it just so happened a miracle happened.
Yeah.
Again, with him not getting shot in the desert was a miracle, and now miracle number 2
Yeah.
is that his neck didn't snap when they hung him.
Yeah.
But in my research of this movie,
Yeah.
when they were filming this part,
Yeah.
he really he choked so bad that he passed out, and he goes, I remember hanging there, and the next thing I know, I woke up on the ground, like gravel on my face, Like they ended up having to cut him down in an emergency because he passed out.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he goes, I was on my tippy toes, and he goes, for
Wow.
some reason, the dude holding the rope at the top pulled up a little bit higher.
Oh no.
And I was barely on my tippy toes, and he ended up passing out.
Oh no.
Yeah, and
Can you imagine that would have been the end of Brendan Fraser?
it could have been. Could you imagine?
Wow.
So that was real life. So that scene, it's
yeah.
scary because we almost lost our precious Brendan Fraser
right.
to this movie, but luckily he was
No,
fine.
okay, he almost dies.
So yeah, so that was a
And
crazy
so they
scene.
cut him loose. They literally cut him
They
loose.
literally
apparently.
do cut him
Okay,
loose.
cool.
So the
So she saves his life.
yes, she saves him, but she needs him because he's the only one who knows where this lost city is.
Correct.
So she hires him.
Right, and then they go on to this. They hop on this little ferry like boat thing to go upriver to go find this lost city.
Find the lost
but
city.
he finds out that he is with a bunch of other explorers.
Yeah. What are the chances that on this same boat there are other explorers who are also going to the lost city? But how do they know where it is?
Right, and then how do they all know that this was an expedition for such thing? It seems like she's the only one who has a key, has all the stuff to get to said lost city.
Yeah.
How does everybody else know? Oh, hi, Benny.
Oh, hey, Benny.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing up. And
Yeah,
oh
so
my
Benny
God,
knows
so
where
funny
it
though.
is.
So funny. So Brendan Fraser sees Benny on the boat
Uh-huh.
and immediately throws him overboard.
Yeet. That bitch takes flight.
He said, yeet.
Yeah.
So Benny's gone. Well,
Benny's-
for a second.
for a second. A little slime ball will always resurrect himself,
And
right?
thanks to Jonathan, now everybody else knows that we're all going to the same spot because it's supposed to be a secret, but
Yeah,
Jonathan
but he's a
can't
loud
keep his mouth shut.
Yeah, exactly. He's a loud mouth.
And so now everyone knows they're both looking for the same thing. But then, oh my gosh, Oded, the what is that called? Like that alliance,
It's
Don't
the
let-
Pharaoh's bodyguards.
the Pharaoh's
But
bodyguards.
I
But
I thought it had a name.
Did it?
Yeah.
I don't remember it having a name.
I'm gonna
but
look it up. Hold on a second.
But those dudes, they're like tattoo faces.
Yeah. Okay. Can we just stop 1 second?
Yeah.
When those guys came onto the ship, can we just take a minute to appreciate the Scooby-Doo style footprints that were left on the floor?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh
The
yeah.
wet- the
and
wet
with no.
footprints.
But
Yes,
how did
yes.
a person?
I was all, row, Raggy.
I know. When he just threw off Benny, and then you're like, did he come back on? Like, where did? And it's like, I guess they could have figured it out or got word of that they were on this adventure to find this lost tomb. But it's just so convenient how they can sneak onto this boat that's already in the water without anybody noticing them. Like they're good. They're not good at killing the people that know where the lost city is, but they're good at attacking boats. So they attack this ship. The whole ship catches on fire. That, it's like, don't go there, it's bad. And then one of the funniest scenes ever, because everyone's out. They lost all their supplies. They did save the horses, which was nice. But Benny's like, ha ha, I got all the horses. And then Brendan Fraser's on the other side, and he's like, ha ha, I'm on the right side of the river. Because Benny goes on the wrong side.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It looks like you're on the wrong side of the
Like, on the
river.
wrong side of the river. Just
Exactly.
funny. There's a lot of little comedy cuts that are hilarious, which we do love. So now they have nothing, and they have to buy some camels from wherever they ended up. I guess the
Yes.
camels for sale. 4 camels because we have Jonathan, we have Evie, we have Rick, and we have the warden who's just kind of like still hanging out.
Yeah.
The Magi.
Magi.
Oh, that's it.
That's right.
That's it. Thank you.
That sounds so much worse. The Magi shows up.
Yeah, the Magi.
So, and then, it's bad. Now they're on foot. They're trying to get there, which they get there pretty easily.
They got on camels.
They buy the camels.
They buy camels.
That's what I mean. Like, now that they cameled, and then it's almost like they're
cameled,
kind of like
yes.
there.
Is
It
it
was
like
like-
when you get horses, you horsed?
You horse. And then it was weird too because they all and then now all the explorers kind of end up at the lost city at the same time.
Yes.
And Benny's like, nice
There's 2
camel.
different groups, yeah.
And he's talking crap about their camel, and then it cuts to Benny riding a camel.
Yes.
I'm like, what, dude? You can't even talk crap right. Like, you can't be like, oh, nice
Because
camel
he's Benny.
while you're riding a camel.
Because he's Benny.
It's a Benny move.
Yeah.
That's a Benny thing to do.
Yeah. Bitch Benny.
Bitch Benny, little bitch Benny, Benny, Benny,
Little
Benny,
bitch-ass
Benny,
Benny.
Benny, bitch.
Yeah.
So they've arrived here now. They're at the lost city, and
Yeah.
and they're here and they're hanging out, and they start, architecturing, I
They
guess.
start architecturing. That's exactly what they
Not
start doing.
architecture. What's
They
that
start
called?
architecturing. I started drawing plans. And
They start excavating.
excavating.
No,
being
Archaeology.
Archaeology. That's the A word
But they
I was
don't-
looking for.
Do they really start digging up much though?
Well,
They
they're
just
looking
kind
for
of- they're
treasure.
looking for treasure, but they end up finding this chamber, right?
Yeah, they do. They get in and they find it, and they go separate ways because we're on 2 teams, right? We have
Yeah.
the American team and we have Brendan Fraser, who's also American, but his team is not.
Yeah.
So Benny's with the Americans.
And then Brendan Fraser is on the British museum team. So
Yeah, that's where we go, museum team.
Yeah.
The museum team versus the Americans.
We gotta store that stuff for the rest of our lives.
Who's gonna win?
But then they figure out they find this chamber and it's super, super dark, right?
Yeah.
And what's her name that plays Evelyn?
Evie. She's just so smart.
She lights up the entire thing with a bunch of polished brass.
Exactly.
Right?
And me and Des kind of had a quip about a part that's coming up soon because Evie is very smart. She's very intelligent when it comes to Egyptian history.
Yeah.
she's there for the book.
She's there. Well, not just for the book. She can also help interpret a lot of
she's
the
the only one that can read the hieroglyphics pretty
Correct,
much.
right.
But her reasoning for this adventure is not for treasure. She's after this book that has all the information that she wants because she's a librarian. Shout out librarians. So she wants this. So on their side, let's go to Team Brendan Fraser. They find a mummy that's like wet. And one of the best jump scare parts too when they open it up.
Yeah.
Because the sarcophagus falls on them. They're like, whoa, this is weird. And then they have the key to open it. And then they open it up. And then it kind of like, does that like
yeah
jump scare moment. And they're like, why is he wet?
Yeah.
They're like, why is he like sticky? I don't
They
get
called him
it.
juicy.
Juicy, that's the
Ew.
word. Yeah, they're like, why is he so juicy?
Ew, no, I don't remember that.
So they find Juicy Mummy over there.
Okay.
And the American team finds the Book of the Dead.
Yeah. They also find that box.
The box has the book, and then under it has the artifact things.
But what did it read on the top of the box?
It said, whoever opens this will die. You're going to
Right.
be cursed. And this is when Benny smartened up because he left the room. He was like, screw this. Like, I'm not messing around.
Benny's in for it for himself.
I know, but
Because he knows, like, I'm going to skip out. I'm not going to be here while they open it.
But
and I'll
listen,
take what's inside.
at the same point,
Yeah.
I'm not opening that box. Also, I'm not opening anything because the very first thing they start doing is they're opening stuff and they send in the henchmen guys to open it.
Yeah.
And they get acid salt in their face like
Right.
a
And
booby trap that
at
was
point,
set.
At that point, you start second guessing, is this
I would not open anything.
Is this a good idea, or do we just continue on and let these poor souls freaking
But they
die?
really messed up because it says if you open this, you are cursed and you will die.
You will die.
And they were like, sloop, opened it up.
And that purple, pinkish, whatever dust pops out of it. Right?
I know.
And
Also,
then,
they didn't get salt burned, but they got.
No.
So then that's the book, though. They find the Book of the Dead.
find
Not the
of
book
the
they're
Dead,
looking
which
for.
also has the little key thing to open it, right?
Yes. Well,
So-
it has they have to use the same key that opened the
Right,
said
that's-
tomb. It's
yeah.
real convenient, that all the keys match, but
It's really freaking weird.
it's weird how
Yeah.
they figured that out. They
It's
never
like,
wanted
that's
this guy.
my thumbprint
Well,
only. All right.
But also, if if this bad guy comes back and will have godlike powers,
Yeah.
there should be more than one key. Put
There
him on
should-
a national treasure hunt.
Also, the part that throws me for a loop is that this entire thing was like in this giant open thing. Most sarcophaguses are in smaller chambers. This is this giant chamber, right?
Yeah.
And there's no warnings anywhere other than on this box
That says don't
that
open
says
it.
don't open the box, but it doesn't say so on the sarcophagus.
But
it doesn't say so on the room. It doesn't say so when you
It
enter
said
anywhere.
on the sarcophagus a curse. It said something about a curse.
It did, but it didn't specify anything about what would happen. And then Rachel Weisz or Evie, who could read this stuff, doesn't see any of this. So it to me is like, okay, I get it. It's plot armor. You have to.
I get it, and that's my issue with Evie is
Yeah.
that like they open it, they get the book, everyone comes out, and now the Americans are kind of giving them shit, like, oh, you guys found a mummy, like we
Yeah.
found the Book of the Dead,
Yeah.
and then Evie steals said book from Cadbury,
Right.
and she opens it, and
Yeah.
she starts reading it.
She starts reading this curse.
And
This
then
enchantment
the
to bring him
enchantment
back to
out
life.
loud, dude. Why are you reading it out loud?
Yeah, why are you not reading it to yourself?
And if you're so smart and super library person, and how do you know? Why didn't you know that you can't read from the Book of the Dead? Shouldn't that be on page 1 of, what she's doing? So he wakes up. Cadbury wakes up and it's like, you can't read from the Book of the Dead.
Right.
And she's like, what? Why not? And it's like, come on, you should know this. And she awakens Imhotep.
Another part that gets me out of this entire thing is the Magi didn't stop any of this, right?
No, they come in. No, they do. Remember, they do attack them in the city at nighttime, and they go, you have until tomorrow to leave. Again, take them out right now. Why wait, dude?
Why are we waiting?
Why
are
are
we giving
you
them
another warning?
It's like a villain freaking giving the plot.
That's what I'm saying. It's just they're really the supervillain in all this.
Yeah.
And this is why it all happens
their
because
failure is
it's like when
on them.
it's like when they always make fun of it in Austin Powers when they're like, oh, we're just gonna leave him in this room, and it's like, aren't you gonna watch him die? Like, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. This random henchman will take care of this guy.
Exactly.
So they say that they're like, dude, you guys gotta go. Like you have one day, and it's like you should have gave
you
them
need to
no
leave.
days.
Get the fuck out.
I
now.
understand not wanting to spill more blood, but tell them you gotta go now.
Yeah, you go now.
Okay, you guys have tattoos. You're intimidating. You got horses. You're mystical.
Yeah,
I would have left. I'd be like, I trust this dude.
Yeah, I think he's being serious. He may murder us if in our sleep.
They've been protecting this for 3,000 years.
Yeah.
No, he won't because he doesn't. I guess he doesn't murder hot people because he didn't shoot Benny either. So I don't know. He picks and chooses.
He picks and chooses who he shoots. Yeah, exactly.
But Imhotep is now awakened thanks to Evelyn. Really, she's the one who woke him up.
And then Imhotep has to in order to get his life back. Like his
crazy.
He has
so
to eat
cool.
the organs of the things that were removed from him.
From the people that
open the box.
Which,
right? What's the first thing that he gets?
Eyes and a tongue. But now that I'm thinking about it, what if only one person opened the box?
Then
would he just take?
From the same guy.
He would just take all from one.
Why couldn't he have just taken all of them from the guy anyway?
That's what I'm saying. It's so convenient that it just happened that 4 people open the box and there's 4 things that he needs to take.
I need to interject here though.
Sure.
Okay, so the guy's eyes that he took.
Yeah, I know.
He's blind.
I thought,
why
oh my
would
God,
you
I thought
take
the same
his
thing.
eyes? And how do they work?
And he doesn't have the glasses, girl. I feel that.
That's probably why he confused Evie for being what's her face.
Oh,
Shimashamadu.
Yeah,
Shimashamadu.
We'll call her Asa.
Yeah.
Axolotl.
That's probably why he confuses for any female.
You're right.
This.
And it wasn't any. I mean, they are similar.
Well, and she's the only one there. But
she's the only woman.
She's the only woman there, so he's gonna confuse her for being his love, and that's because I don't know if you look at it, he actually squints to look at her.
Oh yeah, and I literally
I did not notice that, but I thought to myself, me and my husband are yelling like, "Why take the blind guy's eyes?"
Exactly. I said the same thing. You're gonna go after the eyes of the dude who the glasses are broken. You don't even have glasses.
Can you imagine this like pharaoh freaking god walking around with
broken
See,
glasses?
that would have been better.
That would have been funny.
That would have been a really good plot line to the
movie. That would have been funny as hell. Honestly speaking,
he takes his horrible eyeglass. He takes his horrible eyes and then puts his glasses on. They're all broken.
That shit would have been. I would have died laughing.
That would have been great. They should have did that.
Seriously, would have been. Fantastic.
I also thought the same exact thing. Why take his eyes?
Yeah, why
so
take the
that
blind guys?
scene, my husband and I both yelled at the
why
TV.
Take the blind
why?
Guys? Yeah, exactly.
And another thing that kind of gets me is that Imhotep is never confused by the modern age, because you got to remember he's been dead for 3,000 years.
Yeah, exactly. Like nothing
he
surprises
goes
him
after
all of a sudden.
airplanes and
Exactly.
like cars and whatever else is happening. He's just kind of like meh.
Yeah,
like
it's like
not
as if
confused
he's
at all.
known about these things his entire
Like, oh, I've been
existence.
watching.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
but
I
that's
saw.
not the case. You would have if you were gone for 3,000 years and you came back to what is the future at that point in time, you'd be in awe. You'd think these things were gods.
Like, what the heck?
A plane flying in the air would be a god.
A gun?
A gun?
Imagine being alive 3,000 years ago and then coming to today's technology.
Oh,
that would be
to
insane.
today's
You'd
technology.
Be absolutely
You would
lost.
Can you imagine? Yeah.
You would just explode. You'd be like, I don't what black magic is this?
Take me back to the grave.
I mean, 3,000 years ago, we don't have like everything from lights to phones to compute. I mean, everything would seem godly to you.
You would be like,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it would be such a shock. But he never gets shocked. But I guess he has a mission and he's really in love. I mean, I don't think we talk about the Imhotep Asunguma love story enough. Like, he comes back from the dead and that's all he cares about is he wants her back. Yeah. He loves her. They are in love. There is lots of love stories here.
Sure.
But the funniest part is about to happen because Benny just so happens to walk in after this mummy guy has stolen the tongue and the eyes, and it's so funny. He's wearing every religion, like every religious necklace, and he starts smart move on Benny, because he's like, oh Lord, this, that, and then this, and then he starts speaking Hebrew, and then Imhotep, he's like, oh, I know that one. Like after his 4th one, he got one right, which good on you, Benny, for learning all these languages. Like,
I
that's kind of
suppose.
smart.
Yeah, that's like every other country in the world.
Except for us.
Except for us.
We don't know it.
Learns
But
all these different languages.
it gives it just really adds to his character of like that kind of like, he doesn't commit to one thing. He just wants whatever's going to save him.
Yeah.
And so now he starts working for Imhotep. What a surprise. Like,
Yeah.
he switched sides.
The snake starts working for the
He's
the
now
god,
switching
right?
sides.
Yeah. Like as if he's not going to get taken later, you know?
Oh, yeah. Like,
Alright.
he'll protect me.
Yeah, okay.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
But he was offered gold.
Yeah, he'll
So
take
that's
gold.
his language. That's his
that's
language.
That's true.
Imhotep
Money.
knows. He's like, dude,
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
dudes like this.
Yeah,
like,
you're the greed. All right, I
I
got
know.
you, homie.
pretty much he needs him to be, which Imhotep does he start speaking Hebrew at that point or Arab, like, right? Because Benny starts translating for him. So I guess Benny understands the
Yeah.
language.
Yes.
Because there's even a scene where he's translating to Evie and Evie's like, that's not what he said, or like along the same lines, but not the same thing.
Yeah, I got you. Not
But I don't
many
know the
words.
language, so I'm confused.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't know what anybody said. So now
Yeah.
Benny's the henchman for Imhotep, and
Yeah.
they are screwed. Like, now they have to save the world. By the way, Rick
That they
O'Connell,
caused the problem that they caused. They
and
have
Rick-
to repair the problem.
exactly.
They caused.
And Rick's out. He's like, I'm leaving. I'm
Yeah.
done.
Oh yeah, he starts taking the clothes or throwing in the freaking.
Yeah, he's like, hey,
in his
I
thing.
said,
He's like, I'm out of here.
he's like, I told you that I would take you to the lost city,
Uh-huh.
and I told you I'd bring you back.
And he
now-
did just that. He starts packing his stuff
We're
into
gone.
luggage, and then Evie starts unloading from the luggage.
She's like, I'm staying because I need to fix my problem. Good
Yeah,
on you,
yeah.
Evie, for
Yeah.
solving your problem that you caused. So
yeah.
thank
Look
you.
Look at you guys causing problems in the world that could
And
like
then-
cause chaos in the
I
entire
know.
universe.
Thanks for ruining the world.
Thanks for ruining the world. Now you got to go.
But
fix
at
the
least
issue.
she's brave enough to sit there and not
Sure.
pull a Benny like Rick
Sure,
is and
yeah.
running away.
Rick is being a little bit.
Rick is being a Benny.
Bitch Benny.
A bitchy Benny.
Yeah,
Because what
exactly.
are you leaving for, dude? You got to fix this. You're
Yeah,
the
you-
hero.
Yeah, and you caused the problem. Oh, she caused the problem. Let's be honest. She read the stupid freaking scripture out of the book.
She did. Don't read out of the book at the dead.
Don't read out loud. You can
I
read
feel
all
like-
you want in your mind.
That's what I'm saying. Why
Don't
not
read
just
it.
read it in your... Why
Yeah.
did you read it out loud? Brendan Fraser doesn't know what it
you ever
says.
find a book in the woods that's locked up with a key and some crap? Keep that to yourself.
So now Imhotep is... he gets all the people, right? They start going through... Imhotep.
Yeah, because he's got this like this.
Which affects everybody
the entire
else,
city
but the
of
main
zombies, right.
cast for some reason.
Yeah, which is odd because you think if he can control them, why can't he control
Everybody else.
Exactly. It
Like,
doesn't
not
make
Americans. We don't
No, we can
fall
only
for that.
Control the Egyptians.
It's honestly, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And but he wants her. Imhotep wants Evie because that's who he's going to use as a vessel to bring back a Saxonamon
Yes.
back to life. Because he's in
Oxalate.
love. Honestly, all he wants is his lady. Like,
Sure.
he needs a body back so he can have her. Really, if you think about it, his main goal is to just have her back.
It is, but now him being a god, he can control things.
But he's
right?
only going to
So-
kill those 4 people. If he only
at
killed
that
those
point,
people,
then he starts taking on the world, right?
Do you
That's
think
the
he would,
idea.
like-
The
do you
idea
think he would
behind it
turn
is
evil?
yes, of course.
you don't think they would just run away
Anybody
together?
with unlimited power is going to turn evil.
I don't know. What if he just wants his woman?
I
He
doubt
just
it.
wants to be
Hard.
in love.
Then they're just going to go freaking like retire on Palm Beach somewhere.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
know?
think that's the case.
He tells people, he's like, hey, we'll come
Yeah.
over for a barbecue. I lived 3,000 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. It's just he opens up a bar.
Emoteps.
Emoteps.
We
on
got
the-
beer on tap.
Emoteps on the sand.
Emotep beer on tap. Let's go.
That's what he does.
I would go.
He just retires. He's
And
a god that owns this
it's
little
all,
dive
like,
bar.
And his bar is like Egyptian themed. He's like, we go all in.
Florida Keys.
That would be fun. I would go. Okay, so Imhotep steals.
Oh man.
Steals her. She's gone.
Yes, he does.
She's gone.
She
Evelyn
actually
is
kind of
gone.
gives. She kind of gives in, right?
She has to.
otherwise-
It's the ultimatum. Come with me now,
or
and
everybody
I will
dies.
spare your
Yeah.
friends.
Otherwise, everybody dies. Right.
Or they all die. So
Yeah,
what
yeah.
happens is she goes with him, and then he says, "Kill them all."
Right.
Hello.
That happens every single time.
It always happens.
know.
But I would do the same thing because
Tell
I
me
don't
what
want.
I want to know, or I'm gonna kill you, and you end up dying anyway.
You die
it's the
anyway.
same concept. Yeah.
And this is when we lose museum curator, who we do find out he burnt the last paper on purpose because he is part of the Magi.
The part of the Magi.
Who
Correct.
doesn't
He's
do a
tray-
great job.
He's trying to protect. Yeah.
So that's why he
could have
burned it
done
in
a
the
better
beginning.
job. He could have just taken both pieces and
He
said,
could
"Let
have
me,"
ripped the paper in half.
and lost the key.
Also, they don't need the map because they have Brendan Fraser.
Why does the key?
They
exist?
need the key.
Why does the key exist?
He should have.
Yeah, why would you make something to unlock something you don't want unlocked?
That's
Why
what I'm
wouldn't
saying.
you lock it then destroy said lock?
And that's what I mean. And why
mechanism.
if you have to have a key, why not have 17
No,
things?
because the red key opens
We
the red
need
door and the
one
blue
for
key
the
opens the
door.
blue door.
We need one for the book. We
Exactly.
need one for this, one for that. So
yeah. Video games are harder than the Mummy.
It's true.
Yeah, that key was too universal.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
then I need to like, I just noticed this. So Oded Fair,
Yes.
he is one of the Magi.
Yes.
And then Eric Avari, he was the librarian guy.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
who
the
was also
museum
part
keeper.
Of, yes,
Yeah.
who was also part of the Magi.
Yeah.
Their names, one is Ardeth Bey, and then the other one is Dr. Terrence Bey.
Both.
Oh,
I just thought it was funny that they were both part of the Magi, and they both have similar last names,
Yeah.
but they're spelled differently.
but they're
Yeah, that is
probably
interesting, huh?
descendants from the same. They didn't have that much last names 3,000 years ago. So
No, apparently they really like 3-letter last names. Kinda like
Also-
somebody else I know.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. We have to have subtitles on because I need to read, and they're speaking Arabic the entire time. Is Arabic?
Not really.
But it
They're
says
speaking-
speaking in Arabic.
They're speaking a very different dialect of it. Maybe they're speaking Egyptian because Egyptian dialect of Arabic is substantially different. I've
Is
got
it different because
I
they
have
say
cousin-
speaking Arabic?
yeah, 2 of my aunts and their kids are Egyptian, obviously, and their dialect is substantially different.
Is
than,
it
than the Arabic I speak?
okay? But is it in this? Is it? I'm have to do this for me to relate.
Sure.
How British English is still English and our English
Negative.
is English.
No, it's
Kind of like that,
it's
or is
like
it completely different words?
It's like Mexican Spanish and like
Spanish,
Spanish,
like
Spanish,
from
or
Spain.
or like Colombian. I mean, a lot of it is very similar. Yeah, Spain Spanish.
like it's
Very
same-
similar. The words are almost
but
identical.
it's different.
but they're
Spain
different.
from Spain Spanish from Mexican Spanish is
Yeah.
it's very different. Like
Yeah.
my dad went to Spain, and my
Yeah.
dad is fluent in Spanish.
Yeah,
But going to Spain, it doesn't.
It's a different
always,
Spanish.
Yeah,
it
not
doesn't
every word
translate.
translates.
But that's what I'm
Yes.
saying. How
And-
they would say like kick up your knickers. Like British people speak English, but when you hear a British person speaking
be
English,
more like-
it's so different.
it's more like English, American English
Mhm.
to Cockney, British.
What's that? What's Cockney mean?
Cockney British.
All right, governor.
No, like super heavy, like
The
Very-
rain in
very-
Spain.
almost
Very
gyp-
thick accent.
Mainly on the
Oh
Super
no, sorry, I
gypsy,
went
like the-
Australian on that
No,
one.
the terminology is even a lot
Yeah.
different. They'll use words that don't make any sense to mean something entirely different for us. We wouldn't understand it unless you
Yeah, they'd
knew
be like,
Cockney.
and the kettle and the tea and the pocket and this, and they're like, what's that mean? You're like,
yeah, exactly.
It means go get the laundry, duh.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
that would be. I would compare it to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense because in my caption, just saying my TV would say speaking Arabic, and I'm
Speaking
like,
Arabic.
oh,
yeah. I mean, I
is
suppose so,
Arabic
yeah.
what they spoke in Egypt? I don't know. That
They
honestly,
did,
I just
but
don't know.
Egyptian Arabic is different than that.
It's
of
different, but
other
your
Arabic,
family
yeah.
is
Iraqi.
Iraqi. I know that, but you said your cousins were
Egyptian, so it's hard for me to understand my aunt. I mean, I haven't spoken to her
because she
years.
has the Egyptian.
And even back in the day when I was more fluent
Uh-huh.
in understanding and speaking Arabic, when
It
I was
was
younger,
harder.
I couldn't understand her for the life of me.
So it's weird
Like
that
I'd
there's
catch every 20th word.
so there should be a real big dialect or language dialect difference between 3,000 year ago Imhotep and us now.
Yes,
But he does seem to kind of figure it out.
he does
He's like, hey, none of
Yeah.
this seems weird to me. Also, I'm gonna turn
because again, plot armor,
So he steals Evie. Imhotep has stolen Evie.
and he's gonna
She
do
is
what to
gone.
Evie? He's going to sacrifice.
He's gonna
Evie,
sacrifice
right?
her. Well, he's gonna use her body
to
as
bring
the
back
sacrifice
for
vessel.
because he pulls out the body
Saxonamun.
of Oxalotl and lays her next to her.
A socks in the moon.
Socks and the moon. That's what I'm gonna call her. Socks and the moon.
Socks in the moon.
Yeah, the
So
moon has
she won't.
socks.
Her body will be here, but it'll be a vessel for her
Correct.
spirit.
Correct.
It's kind of funny. Like last week, we were talking about Sherlock Holmes, where there's no black magic, and here is all real black magic. So
Correct.
it's
Yeah.
funny.
It's
I
bringing
like
back-
it better with
bringing
the black
back
magic.
The dead. Yeah, I mean, I
It's
love.
fun for
I like
me.
fantasy stuff altogether. It's more entertaining.
And it's very
right?
adventure.
Yeah.
So then Rick O'Connell finds his one friend, the captain, who wants to die in battle because that's a way to go out, which I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
And he get a plane.
Yeah.
So they start flying said plane, but guess what? Imhotep can like control the sand. And then we get one of the most iconic moments in mummy history.
The sandstorm.
It's the sandstorm mummy face.
with his mummy face. Yeah,
while they're
that is-
chasing the plane.
that
which
was also not CGI.
also
I'm
is-
just kidding.
I was gonna say there's one. But it's one of those things though, if he went in the mouth of sand, what's the worst that's gonna happen? Like the plane's gonna crash. The
Gonna-
plane crashed anyway, but it's
They're
like
gonna chew up the plane with the sand. I don't know.
I guess it's
No,
like
I'm not-
sand is it's
Eat it like a
sanded
chiclet.
wind, which sucks. But like that really, what can he do besides? I guess he could like whirlwind. I don't know.
They're
It's
like-
scary. I would be terrified if I was in that plane. And
Yeah.
Jonathan's hanging on to the wing, and so is Odin.
No, they're strapped on.
I know, but to the
But
wing,
still,
I'm not
yeah.
doing that. I'm not doing that.
I'm gonna volunteer.
But
you
Jonathan
for that
deserved to
specific-
be on that wing.
Yeah, Jonathan had to be. Where is he gonna go?
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
like,
they-
Jonathan, you're lucky you're here.
They
okay.
didn't have real good options.
That's
that
all
little
they had.
biplane, yeah,
They
exactly.
really, but they strapped him to the wing, which it scares me so bad.
Was it Captain Winston?
Yeah, Winston.
Yeah, Bernard Fox, right? The adventurous pilot.
Yes.
The guy was nuts.
And then he died.
Yeah.
And so he got his wish. He was
did.
in here for about 5 minutes, and
Yeah.
his whole plot line's done, and
Yeah,
R.I.P.
exactly. Well, just like the Pharaoh, right? He lasted for a
Pharaoh
minute.
lasted
The
30
Pharaoh
seconds.
lasted 30 seconds
if
and
that.
he was done.
He's like, I'm the Pharaoh. Never mind.
Yeah.
So he's gone. What? But nice, because that's how he wanted to go out, and he did. And a big adventure, one of the biggest ones ever, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
Winston's story is going to go down in history, but we lose another one, okay?
Yeah.
Another one's gone. Another one bites the dust. It's
Yeah.
perfect because they're in the sand. And bites, you know. Okay. Anyway.
She's going to walk us through the entire joke.
I just, in case you didn't understand it. So now they
that's gonna
find...
be the intro right there.
So they're going into the whatever. They go back to the they don't need Anubis. They needed somebody else because the books have been switched. The Book of the Dead was under Anubis and it should have been the gold book. I don't know why they switched the books. They don't really get into why the books are switched. I mean, I guess they do kind of, but I didn't
Clerical error.
pay attention enough. But the librarian knows. She's like, these books are in the... She doesn't know not to read the book, but she knows it's in the wrong spot.
Right? Jeez.
So now they need to, they need to save her. Evie's gonna die. She's gonna die. She's gonna be sacrificed. Oh my God, what are we gonna do?
Yeah. They're going to save her.
They gotta save her.
They got to save Evie.
And
Or they could just let her be and they head home and they're like, oh, we're done.
well, I mean, he was gonna leave anyway. So
Yeah, exactly. He was going to bail on her.
Good thing he
No,
fell in love with
He's
her.
got to go save her. He's got to go save
The love of his
save
life.
the Evie. Let's go.
She saved his life. It's time for him to return the favor.
Fair enough. Yep, that's very true. So here we go.
So they're there. Like she's on the thing, right? Like she's ready to go.
Yeah, she's
like
on the altar.
she's on the...
He's gonna freaking. He's pretty much ready to plunge the.
He's ready to
frickin'
do it.
The dagger into her, right?
And they come in, and it doesn't happen. And thank God the Magi's kind of helping out now. You know,
And
they
then
didn't.
Jonathan reads from the thing to command his army. To,
Yeah, and well, okay, so that's right. Imhotep has the army under his control.
Yeah.
But Jonathan reads from the good book. They do find the good book.
They do.
They find it.
Yeah.
Jonathan starts reading from it. They tell him to read faster, and what happens, Des?
He walks away. He walks away. Okay. And then starts
It doesn't
walking away.
read
It
faster,
doesn't
but walks
continue
away.
reading. He doesn't continue reading.
He does eventually, but in that moment, they're like, hurry up, and he's like, meh, 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 meh.
And then he's like, what is
Wait,
this little...
Yeah.
What is
Why?
this little symbol? Yes. He walked... She's like,
You know
read
what it
faster.
was?
And he walked away.
He walks away.
What happened was, they didn't really have a lot of diagnosis for ADHD back then.
Yeah, that's right. They don't. The 1920s
He
is
totally
not on top
did.
of it.
Yeah.
He totally
he saw
did.
a
And then
shiny
he's like-
object over here. Oh,
He's
Oh.
a squirrel. Squirrel.
exactly.
And I feel that so much, Jonathan. I feel it so much, and I get it.
You guys can't see this
I
on camera
understand.
because this is edited really well, but Brittany's walked out of here 6 or 7 times.
At least. I would if I could, but I'm like, you know what? Focus. I can sit for an hour. God damn it! I know I can do it. I can, and I'm doing it.
Yeah,
Let's
that
go.
was another scene
So,
where
yeah.
my husband and I were literally
What the
yelling at the
actual-
TV,
yeah.
like,
Read it, but he.
"What are you doing? Read!" And then he's like, "What is this little symbol?
But
it
just
looks
in
like
time.
a bird, kind of like a stork,
And
kind
she-
of like I don't know."
But don't worry, Evie can figure it out, and she does, and it works. And then just in time, he takes control of these mummies
Yeah.
and flips the bill,
The
right?
stone, whatever they are. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
it's bad book versus
And
good
they,
book.
They control him to kill
Imhotep, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
No. But they do end up taking out, what's her name? Oxalotl.
Yeah, well, she comes to life, but
She
like,
does for a split
and
second.
she's ready to like fight.
She's for a split second, and then
Do you
they're
think
like,
it's
all,
weird, like
"Ugh."
being in the afterlife? Obviously, nobody knows what happens to you after the afterlife, and whatever you believe is true. So you stick on that. Me, I don't really know, and I don't have a truth to think I know what happens. But if I was, say, like hanging out or just in the afterlife, and somebody brought me back for be like, hey, gotta fight now, I'd be like, okay, wait a second, like, what year is it? What's going on? Like, but she was ready to go.
But what if you came back and
That's
it was
a
just,
ride or die, right?
It's a ride or
there.
die.
What
That's
if,
the
what
real
if you
love
just
story.
came back the moment you died, in your mind?
That might be a thing too. It's like, but she was
nothing's changed. It's a split second later.
That's right. It's like nothing exactly.
You know
so
what I'm saying?
3,000 years didn't happen, and
Correct.
they're back on.
Their time didn't. Just like when you go to sleep, right? You wake up. Pretty much, it feels like nothing's really changed.
But if I've been dead for 3,000 years, I don't know if I could just get up and fight. She's just like,
she didn't know.
I mean, there's magic,
She
but
didn't know. She didn't know she was dead.
She was fighting for her life.
she knew she was dead because she killed herself.
But she didn't know she was dead.
Well, she
Once
didn't know
she
what happened in
died,
that time.
Between the time
I
that
guess.
she died and the time she was resurrected, in her mind, probably zero
You're
time
right.
has
And
passed.
the only thing she does know on her brain is that she told Imhotep to bring her back. So
Correct.
that's what that was like her
Right.
dying wish. So I
Yeah.
guess, he did what he said he was going to do.
She was ready, and then she got taken out like immediately.
Oh, gosh.
The same way and the same way she took herself out.
It's so
A
weird.
shadow in the background and taking a freaking a shank to the gut.
Twice.
Yeah, first time she did it. Second time they did it.
It happens again. Well, I don't want to spoil the next one.
Rinse and repeat.
But how do they?
I do remember the second one.
How did they
watch
take out Imhotep? How did they get him? They throw him into the water of souls or something, right? Like,
yeah.
why am I drawing a blank? I think I was brushing my teeth this morning when this part happened because this is the one part I can't remember.
Yeah, well, they take him and they just huck him into the
It's the water
the
pool,
pool
right?
of whatever, and then they pull him
Of
under,
like souls.
and then he's gone forever.
And then Jonathan drops the freaking book into that.
The biggest dumb move I've ever. But you know what? That book needed to disappear. That's
No,
another.
that's the
that
good
was the
one.
good book.
That
Book of the Dead. That was the
That's
good
right.
book.
That's
That was
right.
the book she wanted.
Jonathan
Right.
ruined
So after
everything.
all of that,
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Jonathan just was a pain in the ass the whole movie.
I
Him
know.
and Benny.
I know
Yeah.
they helped, but like they helped the plot.
He's like the Gilligan of Gilligan's Island.
Oh,
Yes.
Just ruins it time
But-
and time again.
Yes.
But speaking of Benny,
Yeah.
he
Black
does
ice.
get his comeuppance because
He did.
he steals the gold, which
Yeah.
that's his whole plan the whole time, and he ends up getting stuck in there when it's all crumbling and everyone's running out. Benny doesn't make it out.
The wall comes crashing down, and then all of a sudden,
Terrifying.
what comes? And he's got a torch, right? He's got his torch, and what comes charging
It's
in?
those freaking
Those
scarab
scarabs,
bugs
dude,
that
yeah.
and when they get in you, and then how they do it. Is that CGI? What is that?
Yeah, that's all CGI. So
it's a good job.
he goes and he puts his hand on the freaking second hand on the torch. You can watch him turn the switch down to dim it.
Oh, really?
gas
I'm
torch.
gonna have to go back and look.
It's a
That's
gas torch.
a
You
good.
can actually watch him turn the gas
Oh, that's
down.
hilarious!
to
What a good
dim
catch.
to dim
That's
it to shut it down.
I
Yeah.
love that. Great
Yeah.
catch.
There's
I love
also
those
a
little
scene
things.
when they're fighting all the mummies in the tomb.
Uh-huh.
Everything is CGI in that scene except for one. You remember the arm that grabs?
Yes.
That arm
Yeah,
is
part.
real. That's animatronics.
something.
It's an animatronic arm.
That's an animatronic.
Ooh.
All of that, the finger controls, all all of it is all animatronic.
Freddie Fazbear is shook. I had
Dude,
no
they
idea.
did such a good job.
That's really
for
good.
a scene that literally took maybe
How
5
much
seconds.
money do you think that cost, Mr. Prop?
Oh, that
dude?
probably cost them $150,000 to make that.
For
little
that- for what,
one,
30
one arm.
seconds?
Plus, you got like 5 people controlling that thing, right? So you
That's
got
crazy.
it cost a butt ton of money to make this thing that lasted for 5
Do you think
seconds.
movies were so good in 1999 because they had big budgets?
They still have big budgets.
That's true. They still
But
do
I
have
think
big budgets.
sometimes the budgets are used wisely and sometimes they're not.
I'll take the
practical-
100
Practical effects are currently on par with CGI. So right now, movie makers, if they can afford to do it time-wise, practically, or if it's something that's easier to do practically, they will do practical versus CGI
That's right.
because the budget is identical.
Carrie was telling that about our
Yes.
interview
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Carrie.
yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
have an
yeah.
interview with a prop
Yeah,
master.
actually, he's gonna come back soon. Actually, he said.
Oh,
one of-
fun, and we'll fix his audio.
Yeah, we'll fix his
That'd be
audio, so-
great.
Yeah, he's gonna come back. He really enjoyed doing the show. So.
Yeah, but he's had a lot of secret. He had a lot of secret stuff he couldn't say, but now he can say it.
All right. Anyhow,
Because
so
it's all okay.
that's pretty much where the story
because
ends,
love
right?
wins overall.
And then at the very end, we got out of there with nothing. And then Brendan Fraser turns to Evie and says, "I wouldn't say nothing," and then kisses her. And that's
I wouldn't say nothing. No,
Yeah.
I didn't leave empty-handed. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I love both of you so much.
yeah. So that
And
was.
it's so cute.
Then that's the gist of the story.
And they ride away on a camel.
They do. Yeah.
And then they have a
And
baby.
And
there's gold.
They do have a
in
little bit
one
of gold. Yeah.
And
Yeah, well,
Brendan
guess what?
Fraser's camel bag, Benny had smuggled some gold onto it. He took Benny's
He
gold.
deserved to take Benny's gold. And you know what? In the second one, they got a big house. So I think that gold was worth a lot.
yeah.
Because they really come up after this one. It's almost like the second National Treasure when they showed Ben's huge mansion. It's that funny like treasure. Obviously they don't have the same amount because only that little bag's worth. But I mean, they could go back and find it, right? They know where it is. Do you think it's destroyed or it's just under brick now?
Destroyed. It's gone. Everything's ruined.
It's ruined forever.
Everything's ruined forever.
So I thought gold was like sturdier.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
not
guess
Minecraft,
you could.
but-
It looks like you'd have to deal, like 1,000 feet of freaking rock
Yeah, but
and
there's
stone.
no more like curses. Like
That's
they
true.
took care of that part. So
That's
go back
true.
and get the gold.
Yeah,
Excavation.
I guess you really could.
You could.
You could.
What do you rate this movie? Because I gave it 5 stars. I love this movie.
Wow,
I love
5
it.
stars. It's
It's a 5.
It is an excellent film.
It changed my life. It's a 5.
I do love this movie. I don't know if it changed my life, but it was
changed my life.
It was during the year of excellent films, and I'm gonna give this a good solid 4.5 stars.
Nice. We got a 5, a 4.5. Des, what are you giving it?
I give it a 4. This was literally my first time ever seeing this
I know,
movie.
and
Fair enough.
that's funny too because like obviously I saw when it first came out I was 10 years old, and like I said, it changed me.
So for you too, it has nostalgia to you.
It's huge nostalgia,
Yeah.
but it was something that I don't know how to explain it, but it was such a breath of fresh air. It had all elements, like, and I'm not a big action person, and I loved every second of it. I think this was one of the first DVDs that I bought myself because I loved it so much. Like I wanted to own this movie.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the second one I think is just as much on par. And man, talk about
What about the Tom Cruise remake? Exactly.
I didn't even know he did a remake.
I
of
won't
it. And
watch
I wouldn't.
it.
I would
Yeah,
not
I-
watch. I would
I
not
won't.
watch it after seeing this one.
I watched the very beginning of it. It's a lot more dark. It's not funny.
It's no fun.
Uh,
I heard,
Mostly
and I
it's-
haven't watched it, but I heard they
like
went
brought
no
the whole
fun with it.
Yeah, they brought it looked like they tried to remake a film and try to make it more actiony.
And you know what? Tom Cruise was the original was originally cast to be in the original Mummy, and he said no. And I'm so glad that he said no.
Why
Yes.
would they want? He's not.
He
funny.
said
He's
no.
not- He's not, even a comical character.
But he kind of, and this was 1999. He had a little bit more personality before he went way Scientology. Like he was kind of a character dude. It could have
guess.
worked. He's great. And the only movie I like him in is Tropic Thunder because he's joking the whole time. Like he does have comedic aspects, and I don't even like Tom Cruise. But this movie wouldn't be what it is without Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser. They
100.
made this
I agree.
movie.
100.
I agree.
If it was anybody else, it wouldn't have been the same. It hits different.
Yeah, I agree. All right, what are we watching next week?
Oh, I don't know. Spin the wheel.
Let's spin the wheel. Ready?
Ooh, I have to
Here we
put my
go.
movies on.
I know.
I have a list going.
I need to add them. Let's see what we got. Oh, Super Troopers. Have you seen this?
No, I've seen pieces though. I know all the
Yeah,
jokes.
that movie is really funny.
It's
So-
pretty funny. It's going to be really bad.
It'll be fun. It'll be a good time.
It probably will be, but
Yeah.
it is one of those that I will enjoy revisiting.
Yeah, it's a good film. It's a good film.
I remember there being a lot
I
of
have
really
my
funny
problems
parts
with
in
it,
there.
but at the same time, I think it's one of
Well,
those movies
that'll
that's
be fun
worth
because you
watching.
both have seen it and I haven't. Almost like with this one, we've seen
And
it
if
and
you
Des
need it,
hasn't.
I have
So
it on DVD.
oh, you
All
do,
right.
but I don't have a DVD player.
You can watch it here.
Okay, because
I
I'm
have
like,
an extra DVD player you can borrow.
oh, well, there we go.
There you
Because my
go.
DVD player's broken.
All right.
So Super Troopers next week. Let us know in the comments what you thought about the Mummy. Let us know all your little secrets about it because I was the same. Don't worry. Let's admit it, okay? It changed our lives. It changed our lives for the better.
It was a great film. It really was a good film.
It's
It's
awesome.
really up there. And I really hope you guys did enjoy this as much as we did. And while you're at it, if you could also do all the little things down below, the likes, the subscribes, and follow along and share this with friends and family because we need your help in order to grow the channel and the podcast. Don't forget to,
Backhand that notification bell.
just like Dad used to do. And until the next one, see ya.
Bye.
It looks exactly like me.
It's like to the T.
Des,
I know, it's my
why don't you pop
doppelganger.
up? Des, why don't you pop up?
It's a spitting image. Like I've
Oh.
never seen anybody look so much like you.